Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 38 for November 12th, 2023. Let's continue into the Ultra Member submissions for the week. Remember, Ultra Members are guaranteed to have their videos watched, and then we switch to the randomized playlist of standard member submissions for the week. Okay? Let's go.
We put a device on him that allowed us to measure how hard he's working, his metabolic rate. And what it actually measures is his oxygen consumption, his carbon dioxide production, the amount of air that he breathes, in addition to the heart rate. And it's sent via telemetry to a computer that does the calculations that tells us how much energy he's expending.
International.
Out of curiosity, let's go ahead and put your drum set on just to see how that all works. If you look right now, his values are going to start going up simply because this drum kit's almost 30% more addition to your body weight.
Huh.
Do you remember when we were watching from the sidelines? Your heart rate went shooting up as soon as they started playing, even though you didn't even have your drums on at that time. His heart rate went up to 180 beats per minute, and he hadn't done anything. It's just like the athletes hearing the gun go off. This is being driven by probably the sympathetic part of the nervous system. You can think of it as an adrenaline rush, and he's used to, as soon as he hears those notes, he's used to, I'm in the middle of performance mode. And so that kicks in. The body was ready for that, even though he's standing alongside. They get incredibly high heart rates during the performance, and it actually doesn't vary a lot. Your heart rate was up over 200 beats per minute. What did mirror the activity on the field was the oxygen consumption. It got as high very briefly as 40 mLs per kg per minute. Now, what does that mean? That's about 13, 14 times his resting metabolic rate. The little black crosshatches are the heart rate response. The little red squares are the oxygen consumption. The oxygen consumption is generally about what it would be during the middle of a marathon for a well-trained runner who's halfway through a marathon.
This all makes sense. You know, you see these people in these marching bands, and you think, they're just walking around playing an instrument, big deal. But those marching bands are very physically demanding. Not only are you playing the instrument, but your body's not at rest. You're moving, you're marching, you're timing, you're lifting. You're doing all of these things all at once. So it's got to be, you have to be incredibly physically fit to do it, right? Yeah, and I think it should be respected, honestly. You know, a lot of people look at it, and again, they kind of take it for granted that it's not a big deal or whatever. But is it as crazy as actually being on the field and being the athlete? No, especially because the marching band isn't out there for hours and hours on end. They're usually marching and doing a show or whatever. You know, they're there for the halftime show. They're there for the parade, and they march for like an hour, right? But I think this interesting is to be respected, the amount of work that they put into it, right? And that's the point of this video, is that they're trying to show that these people are generally athletes. They're not just people who play an instrument, right? Okay, let's continue.
The Game Anthropologist is proud to present to you great moments in video game failure.
Final Fantasy VII music. I'm surprised. I would be surprised if I'm not in this, right?
I Justine plays Portal 2.
So anyway, welcome to my Portal 2 Game Fest. I want in there. I want in there. Let me freaking in there. Okay, here's the problem. Where the heck am I going? Hey! Hey! Hey, looky! Look at me! Okay. Why am I? Oh, crap. Where am I even going? Am I missing the concept of the portal thing? Put you somewhere else. Hey! I'm fit.
All right.
Okay. What?
All puns aside, all right, and all jokes aside here, all right. Yes, I should be clear about something, all right. Back in the day when I was a full-time gaming YouTuber, which I still am today, although I do a lot more different stuff today than I used to. I used to just play games constantly. You know, today I do a podcast, I do this react show, I do all this stuff. I was prominent on YouTube for being just a gamer. That was it. All of a sudden, there was a popular fad that happened on YouTube around the year of around 2011 into 2012. All of a sudden, all these people who were vloggers, meaning people who talked to a camera every day about their daily lives. Some of them were comedians. Some of them did jokes and music. Some of them just kind of vlogged their lives, right? All of a sudden, it became a big thing where all these people who literally never made a piece of video game content before in their lives started doing Let's Plays. Why? Because YouTube, around that time, made it possible to monetize your Let's Play if you were part of a partner network. Well, these people already were partnered with these networks for their vlogging stuff, right? So people like Tobuscus all of a sudden makes Toby Games. iJustine, who was not making gaming content, started making gaming content. And what ended up happening was this. Literally, right? This, where people who were not gamers literally had no investment in games, didn't care about video games at all, somehow became prominent gaming YouTubers. Why? Because they carried their following over from their other endeavors to gaming. They ended up sucking up a lot of the ad revenue on YouTube. They ended up getting prominent sponsorship deals, like Tobuscus getting literally sponsored by Madden. Madden. Do you think he ever played a Madden game before he got the advertisement campaign? Probably never touched one in his life. But because these companies were so off base, instead of looking for people who were gamers to advertise their products and accurately represent them, they were just looking for anyone popular on YouTube. So people started getting opportunities. People started getting all of the prominence. You would see Toby Turner, Toby Games, iJustine's gameplay channel. They would be pushed to the forefront of the YouTube algorithm. And this is what you would watch. When you went to watch it, you're like, what the fuck is this? This isn't even like a walkthrough. This is a person who doesn't even understand games, right? And why are they at the front of YouTube gaming? There's people out there who are genuinely gamers, who love games, have passion for games, who work their asses off to do Let's Plays and other edited content. And then you got this. And this is what YouTube was promoting. Okay? And yes, back in the day, this absolutely positively irked me. This woman was getting sent to E3 by companies to cover their fucking press conferences. All right? This is what she did with gaming. Why exactly did she get to go to E3 to cover games and or represent game companies? This is her. This is representative of the content she put out. Okay? So, this is what I mean. This is how YouTube was back in the day. You know, this is why I had issue when you had people like Toby Turner and they were putting Madden ads on gameplay videos of people who were legit gamers, and those ads were advertising his YouTube channel, Toby Games. So imagine you're a legit person who loves games, you're passionate playthroughs, content, and you're getting ads from iJustine, Toby Games, and other shit on your channel telling people to go to their channels to watch their shit instead. Wow. Wow, that was real fair, huh? Right? So, this is what I mean. Like, this is how bad YouTube was at one point. And this is where I had issue with these kind of people. Did you think that she had passion for games? Maybe today she does, because now for over a decade, she's been known for gaming content. Why? Because YouTube hand-selected her to be gaming content. Do you understand? It wasn't because of the quality of what she put out. It wasn't because she had passion for it. She literally didn't make game content until it was monetizable. Then she started making it. The same thing with Toby Turner. He didn't literally never played a video game on YouTube until you can make money doing it. And then all of a sudden, he was chosen to be the prominent gamer. Meanwhile, people who had passion for it, who were making gaming content for years and never made $1 on it, they get brushed under the fucking rug, right? And it really did piss me off back in the day. Because I was there busting my ass, trying to show that I actually cared, that I had passion for what I was doing. That was my lifetime hobby, right? But no. The opportunities always went to the big wigs, to the people who were, let's be honest here, these were people who were like face models, right? Oh, look at me with my fucking lighting because I'm a daily vlogger, so I put makeup on and everything before I make a fucking video. So they're the ones, the face of YouTube, and they're already popular. So let's make them the prominent gamers now too. You know? It's just sad that that's the way they went. Now, the good news is, this is not like this anymore, all right? Most people now who are prominent on YouTube for gaming are actual gamers. It's changed over the last 10, 15 years. But it was very frustrating in the earlier days of YouTube, trying to be a gaming YouTuber, to putting up with this shit. Because, like, this video probably got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views, and people liked it. Oh, this is a great gameplay. It is? It is. Really. Send her to E3. Give her all the opportunities. While the other gamers get treated like dirt and brushed under the rug. They don't exist. Right? That's how it was back then, you know? But now, things are different. But, of course, there's a whole new bag of problems now with the selected gamers who are now the prominent people on YouTube and stuff like that. I'm not part of any of these groups. I never was. I was not Mr. Popular back then. I'm not Mr. Popular now. I don't really give a shit anymore. But if anything, this video is representative of how messed up it is. How do you choose someone like her, or again, Toby Turner, to be the prominent gamers of YouTube? They were fakes. They literally only made a gameplay video when you could monetize it because they wanted to have the big bucks. They only made gameplay channels when it was convenient to cash in. They didn't give two shits about games, and likely they would have never made content about games if they never could have monetized it. It's pure this versus passion. It's sad. It really is sad that that's where YouTube went, and, you know, that's where a lot of that feeling of anger came from me back then, busting my ass. Trying to be prominent, trying to make a living doing it, trying to be, you know, doing all this stuff, and having passion for it, and seeing these people be the popular people, you know. Anyway, I guess I just wasn't handsome enough. I looked like a you know, monkey's butt. So, you know, I didn't put makeup on, and I didn't do vlogging videos like that. So I guess that's why YouTube didn't like me. Anyway, let's continue.
Tommy Vassetti. Didn't they never let him out?
He kept his head down. Helps people forget.
We've been talking about expanding down south, right? Vice City is 24 karat gold these days. The Colombians, the Mexicans, hell, even those Cuban refugees are cutting themselves a piece of some nice action.
But it's all drugs, Sonny. None of the families will touch that shit.
Times are changing. The families can't keep their backs turned while our enemies reap the rewards. Who's our contact down there?
Ken Rosenberg, schmuck of a lawyer.
Is this not just the intro to Vice City? Vice City, but nothing goes wrong? Is it? This is just like the intro, the standard intro to Vice City, right? So how does it change now?
On a hold Vassetti's leash.
We don't need him to. We just set him loose in Vice City. We give him a little cash to get started, okay? Give it a few months. Then we go down. See how he's doing.
So they pick him up from the airport, but then nothing goes wrong. I was not going to play the licensed music. That's
Okay,
gonna be a
that's
problem.
them in the chopper. All right, here's the deal. They want a straight exchange on open ground. All right? Okay, stay tight. Let's go.
This is right at the beginning of the game. Everything goes wrong, and this is where everything starts falling apart. The deal goes bad, right? Yep.
Got it? 100% pure grade A Colombian, my friend. Let me see it. The greens? 10s and 20s. Used.
They stopped him, look. So the deal went fine. Look at that.
Get us out of here, Lance. Come on, get out of here.
That's it. That's the end of the game. The deal went down.
Hello, Sonny.
Tommy! Tommy, it's been too long. I know. You're just overwhelmed with emotion. 15 years.
Seems like only yesterday.
I guess that's a perspective thing.
Hey, doing time for the family is no piece of cake, but the family looks after its own, okay? So how'd the deal go down? You sitting on some white gold?
Flamethrowers? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No credit?
Tommy!
Yes, we're fine.
Cash. Shoot now, pay later.
That's it? We're almost done. So this is seriously it. This is the whole game. The deal went fine. Why would they have a business card on them? Right?
What?
You stupid pricks!
And that's it. It's the end of the game. Well then. And that's it. And there you go. And Tommy sits on the beach, end of the game. Look at that. Beautiful. Because if you remember at the beginning of Vice City, what ends up happening is the deal goes wrong. Someone intervenes, the deal goes wrong, the drugs get stolen, and that's what causes the whole steamrolling of everything going wrong in the game. So if the deal went fine and they stopped the intervention, then the game's fine, it's happy ending. There you go. All right. True facts about the Tarsier. Is it Tarsier? 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 I don't know how to say this.
Here we will learn true facts about the Tarsier.
The Tarsier.
The Tarsier is one of nature's smallest primates. The
It's tiny.
pygmy mouse lemur is smaller, but you know that if you're being compared to something called the pygmy mouse anything, you're really, really damn small. The Tarsier is named... Whoa! Hello there, freaky. The Tarsier is named after
Crazy
its
eyes.
long, impressive bone in its ankle, you perv. The Tarsier uses its powerful legs to jump and cling on to things with the aid of its padded and freakishly long fingers.
Freakishly
It
long.
disguises itself in the forest by pretending to be a small teddy bear undergoing a colonoscopy. It blends in magically.
Oh, really?
You may not have
Astronaut says
noticed, but the
Yoda was based off
Tarsier
this
has
animal.
very large eyes. They are, in fact, the largest in relation to its body of
They're
any
freakishly
mammal.
large eyes.
Each one of its eyes is heavier than its brain, which might explain why it hasn't invented anything. The eyes are so big that they cannot rotate in their sockets. The Tarsier must stare straight ahead and swivel its neck to look. Holy crap! Did you see that? It's like Exorcist shit. If you
Reminds me of like an
challenged the
owl. An
Tarsier
owl
to a
can do the same
staring
thing, right?
contest,
Yeah.
It wouldn't understand a word you said, but it would stare at you, and you would think that was apropos. The Tarsier wouldn't really think anything, and would probably just make a pee-pee. The Tarsier is the only
Make a
entirely
pee-pee.
carnivorous primate, eating insects,
cute.
rodents, reptiles, and small birds.
Oh!
This, incidentally,
Nom-noms.
is the cover of the children's book, Lizard Has a Shitty Day. Within 1 day of being born, the Tarsier can climb a tree. A human baby of the same age can do nothing. At 4 months
Wow.
old, the Tarsier... It's too creepy. At 4 months... Oh, God. What's over here? Remember, always eat your vegetables, or you'll look like a freaky, freaky little Tarsier.
Wow. True facts on Thursday. So it's a comedy fact video.
You know,
I think we have 2 videos left. Maybe we could squeeze these in this part. Let's see. What Sleeping Beauty is really about. Again, we've got a Jordan Peterson video. Once again, I will reiterate. I don't know anything about this guy, but these videos have been submitted recently. I'm just going to analyze what he has to say at face value. Okay? That's all I'm going to do. I don't know about his politics or anything. I'm just analyzing what he has to say in this video at face value. So here we go.
Sleeping Beauty, you know, Sleeping Beauty goes to sleep. And the reason she goes to sleep is because you have to remember what happens is she has parents who are quite old. And so they're pretty desperate to have a child, like so many people are now. And they only have one child, like so many people do now. And they don't want anything to happen to this child because, like, hey, it's a miracle. And there's only one of them. And so and she's the princess. And so it's like, we're not letting anything around her. So they have a big christening party, right? And they invite everybody. But they don't invite Maleficent. And Maleficent is the terrible mother. She's nature. She's like the thing that goes bump in the night. She's the devil herself, so to speak. She's everything that you don't want your child to encounter. So the king and queen saying, well, we just won't invite her to the christening. It's like, well, good luck with that. That's an Oedipal story, right? The Oedipal mother is the mother who devours her child by refusing, by overprotecting him or her, so that instead of being strengthened by an encounter with the terrible world, they're weakened by too much protection. And then when they're let out into the world, they cannot live. And that's the story
Being
of Sleeping Beauty.
overprotected and coddled instead of learning from experience.
And they apologize to
adversity.
Maleficent when she first shows up and say, well, you know, they have a bunch of half-witted excuses why they don't invite her. We forgot. It's like, I don't think so. You know, you don't forget something like that. And she kind of makes that point. It's right, the whole horror of life. You don't forget about that when you have a child, that's for sure. You might wish that it would stay at bay, but you do not forget about it. The question is, do you invite it to the party? And the answer is, it bloody well depends how unconscious you want your child to be. And if you want your child to be unconscious, well, then you have the added advantage that maybe they won't leave home, and so you can take advantage of them for the rest of your sad life instead of going off to find something to do for yourself. Well, and then, of course, you can take revenge on them if they do have any, what would you call, impetus towards courage that you sacrificed yourself 30 years ago and want to stamp out as soon as you see it develop in your child. That's another thing that would be quite pleasant.
Jeez.
And so that's what happens.
Saying, this is the story of Sleeping Beauty, and he's like, the whole story is a story of overprotection and projection. That it's all the parents' fault. The parents trying to be super protective of Sleeping Beauty. They don't want Sleeping Beauty to have her own life, to have any courage. They just want to, like, this is ours, right? It's our one kid, it's ours. We want to protect it forever. And that's where all the problems begin. That if they had exposed Sleeping Beauty to, say, adversity or challenges or even danger, that Sleeping Beauty would have grown up to be an individual who was able to handle adversity and challenges, but instead they coddled her and they caused all the problems. It's kind of interesting.
Sleeping Beauty, yeah, well, none of this is pleasant, and nothing that happens in that story is pleasant. So Sleeping Beauty, she's naive as hell. They put her out in the forest and have her raised by these three, like, goody two-shoes fairies that are also completely devoid of any real potency and power, right? There's nothing maleficent about them. And then the first idiot prince that wanders by, she falls in love with so badly that she has post-traumatic stress disorder when he rides off on his horse, right? That's what happens. And then she goes into the castle and she's all freaked out because she met the love of her life for like 5 minutes, for God's sake. And, you know, that's when the spinning wheel, that's the wheel of fate, pops up and she pricks her finger, right? They try to get rid of all the spinning wheels. They try to get rid of all the wheels of fate with their pointed end. But she finds it, pricks her fingers and falls down unconscious. Well, she wants to be unconscious. And no bloody wonder. She was protected her whole life. She's so damn naive that her first love affair just about kills her. She wants to go to sleep and never wake up. And so that's exactly what happens. And then she has to wait for the prince to come and rescue her. Well, you think, how sexist can you get, that story? Well, seriously, because that's the way that would be read in the modern world. It's like she doesn't need a prince to rescue her. That's why Disney made Frozen that absolutely appalling piece of rubbish. So, you know,
I like how they applaud it. Yes, Frozen's rubbish. Frozen is rubbish. I think it's funny that's his opinion. I would like to hear why he thinks that, though, right? Maybe because it doesn't teach any morals and values. It's just, you know, it's meant to be like a progressive movie or something. I'm curious to hear why he hates that, actually, over this. But, all right, let's continue.
Well, the princess doesn't need a prince to rescue her, but, you know, that's a boneheaded way of looking at the story, because the prince isn't just a man who's coming to rescue the woman. And believe me, he's got his own problems, right? He's got a whole goddamn dragon he has to contend with. But the prince also represents the woman's own consciousness. The consciousness is presented very frequently in stories as symbolically masculine, as it is with the Logos idea. And the idea is that without that forward-going, courageous consciousness, a woman herself will drift into unconsciousness and terror. And so you can read it as, well, the woman who's sleeping needs a man to wake her up. And of course, just like a man needs a woman to wake him up, it's the same damn thing. That's the dragon fight in Sleeping Beauty. But it's also the case that if she's only unconscious, all she can do is lay there and sleep, like the sleep of the naive and damned. She has to wake herself up and bring her own consciousness, her own masculine consciousness into the forefront so that she can survive in the world. And of course, women are trying to do that like mad.
Oh, that's it? Oh, it's not really the end of the story. Aw, it cut off. It sucks because it feels like it's half a thought, right? Like, I understand what he's saying, but I feel like the thought's not done, right? So that was kind of disappointing that it ended like that. Darn. All right. Anyway, yeah, this is a good place to split the part. So let's do that. It looks like there's one Ultra member video left, and then we'll get to the standard member submissions. All right. Anyway, so thank you. It's funny because Sith says he's overanalyzing a fairy tale. Sith, you do realize that in reality, the fairy tales originally were meant to be these stories with these values, right? Like, that was the point. And then Disney trivialized them to turn them into children's stories. But in reality, these stories, these fairy tales, actually had these deep meaning beforehand. Why do you think so many Disney movies have dark, or twists, or their original stories are much darker than what Disney put out in their movies, right? It's actually true. The freaking Pinocchio story is insane how dark the original Pinocchio writing is. And then Disney kind of tried to make it more easy for kids. But anyway, thank you for watching part 2 of DSP versus the Internet, episode 38. There's still 4 more parts coming. So I hope I'll see you for those. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part. And remember, if you want to be the person to submit these videos for next week's show, please consider becoming a member today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next part.